Welcome to class number 9, our second of 3 classes on managing debt. In our last class, we left off mentioning a concept called compounding. Most of you probably have no idea what compounding is or how it works, but it's a crucial concept to understand. As it relates to debt, compounding is the practice of charging interest on both the outstanding principal amount borrowed and any unpaid interest or other unpaid amounts from prior periods. This is also called capitalizing. Let's look at a basic example. Let's say that on December 30th, you charge $11,000 to your credit card. Let's also assume that your credit card company sends you an account statement on January 1st, telling you that you have until January 31st to make the minimum payment on your debt. Then you will incur 24% interest compounded monthly, or 2% for the month, on the outstanding amount. The credit card company sets the minimum payment, but you can pay off the entire debt in 1 month if you wish. You make the minimum payment of $1,000 on January 31st, but you still owe $10,000, and so you are charged interest for $200 on February 1st, bringing the total amount you owe to $10,200. During February, you forget to pay your credit card bill, and on March 1st, you are charged an additional $204 of interest, bringing your total outstanding balance to $10,404. In addition, you may also have to pay a late payment fee as a penalty. Why were you charged an extra $4 of interest in February versus January if your interest rate didn't change? This is because in February, you were charged interest on the outstanding amount borrowed of $10,000, and you were also charged interest on the unpaid interest from January of $200. That is, you were charged interest on the unpaid interest as well as on the principal. This brings us to one of the most important facts about debt. When we borrow money, compounding works against us because the amount of interest we will pay grows the longer we don't pay it back. Say that with me one more time. When we borrow money, compounding works against us because the amount of interest we will pay grows the longer we don't pay it back. As we discussed in our last class, interest is an expense to us and revenue to the lender. Therefore, we want to limit or reduce our expenses and not let them grow. Now, let's look at the same example, but let's assume we didn't repay the interest or the amount owed for a period of 6 months, and the interest compounded monthly. Here, you'll see that the interest has grown to over $1,261 through 6 months. What would this interest amount be with no compounding? Well, it would be $1,200 instead of $1,261. While that's only a difference of $61, this amount would be a lot higher if the amount borrowed was a lot higher. Interest can be compounded daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, etc. It all depends on how your particular debt agreement is written. The best way to avoid compounding interest is to pay off your debt before interest is charged if you can. In our credit card example, that date was January 31st, or the due date of the first month's payment. Let's talk more about credit cards. Credit cards are one of the worst forms of debt, but they are often a great tool for electronic payment. As we mentioned in our last class, credit cards generally offer better fraud protection than debit cards and are very easy to use. However, there are a few negative aspects of credit cards that you need to know so you don't get yourself into trouble. First, and I will repeat this again because it's so important, the golden rule for using credit cards is to pay off your entire balance in full every month, so you are never charged interest. Why? Interest rates on credit cards generally range from 15% all the way up to 25% or more, and interest normally compounds monthly. Another characteristic of credit cards that make them so dangerous is that they are often used to buy high-priced luxury items. It's a smart idea to only buy luxury items if you have the cash to pay off the credit card immediately. This will help you discipline your spending. An additional red flag is that people can have multiple credit cards at one time and can usually transfer the outstanding balance from one card to another card. As such, credit card debt can grow very quickly. Additionally, your credit limit, that is the maximum balance you can have outstanding on the credit card at any point in time, can be very high unless you instruct your credit card company to lower it. This is where credit card companies have become very slick with their sales tactics. Credit card companies often ask you to update your salary and income information on your online accounts. Credit card companies do this because they want to raise your credit limit to the highest amount they feel comfortable with in an effort to entice you to borrow more. More borrowing means the higher chance that you end up carrying a balance and paying interest. And that's what every lender wants, more interest from you. I hear people touting how high their credit limit is, as if that's something they should be proud of. Your credit limit is not a good indicator of how well you are doing financially. What actually matters is how much wealth you are building, as evidenced by your net worth and your net income, not how much a credit card company would lend you at sky-high interest rates. Never forget that. For the next danger of credit cards, let's talk psychology for a second. When we use credit cards, we are often less sensitive to making the purchase than we would be had we paid cash. We don't see cash changing hands, and we could easily end up spending money we may not have. Swiping a credit card is a very easy process. Unfortunately, many people forget the previous purchases they've made on the credit card until and if they look back at their credit card statement at the end of the month. More sensitivity to purchases leads to more discipline in spending. Less sensitivity to purchases leads to less discipline in spending. Prudent financial management has a very big emotional component. The truth is, credit card companies have designed systems to make credit cards incredibly easy to use. They want you to swipe and swipe and swipe, so you owe them more and more and more. That is primarily for their benefit, not your benefit. Credit card companies are not wealth building companies. They should be seen as services to help you make payments, and that's it. What about credit card rewards? Are they worth it? Many credit card companies offer perks in the form of travel miles, hotel rewards, and cash back on purchases. These rewards are beneficial if you avoid paying interest, keep fees low, and avoid spending more than you can afford. A lot of these rewards programs are very complex, so it's important that you lay out the benefits you expect to receive versus the costs associated with having the credit card. Did you say fees? Yes, beware of fees. Credit card companies don't just make money from interest. They also may charge an annual fee just to even have the credit card, as well as many other fees. It's very important to know all the fees you may be charged and to weigh them against any rewards you expect to receive. Remember, a credit card company is a business, so it is often in their interest, no pun intended, not yours, to give you a few perks, but then offset these perks by higher fees and interest. How many people go back and see how much they are being charged versus the benefits they are receiving? Not many, and that's a mistake. Keep your eye on your finances if you want to build wealth. It's important to note that credit card companies are legally required to provide you with a list of all fees upon opening your card and whenever those fees may change. Weighing the cost versus the benefits of credit cards is only something you can do. What are a couple more positives of credit cards? Paying off your credit card balance right away builds good credit history and will help your credit score, which we will discuss in our next class. Also, it's fairly obvious, but credit cards eliminate the risk that you carry around a lot of cash and the money gets lost or stolen. Before we go, I have some homework for you. List out all of your credit cards. Indicate the interest rate of each and whether that rate is fixed or variable. Next, review each credit card account to understand how much in fees you are being charged versus how much in benefits you are receiving. Decide if each credit card is still right for you and if there are any alternatives which would be a better fit for you. Put a reminder to do this review at least annually or more often if you think you need to. That's a lot of information, but being informed and disciplined will save you a whole lot of money. If you have any questions at all, please contact me at opusmonetquestions@gmail.com or comment below, and I will try my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. We rely heavily on recommendations. Please follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us, and like this video on YouTube, and share our program with your friends and family. See you all in class number 10. Peace!